जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तीरावनचारी। यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन भज जन रंजना। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तीरावनचारी। यमुना तीरावनचारी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जो मिष्टपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद His Divine Grace अभय चरणारविंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की, नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, श्री श्री राधा गोविंद देव की, श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्ठिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः. Hare Krishna. We are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 4, Sati quits her body, and verse number 26. Evam swadeham mahatam mahiyasa. Oh, first, okay. Evam swadeham mahatam mahiyasa. Evam swadeham mahatam mahiyasa. Muhu samaropitam ankam आदरात् मुहुः समारोपितमङ्कमादरात् जिहासति दक्षरुषा मनस्विनी जिहासति दक्षरुषा मनस्विनी दधार गात्रेषु अनिलाग्नि धारणम धारणाम दधार गात्रेष्वनिलाग्नि धारणाम एवं स्वदेहं महता महीयसा मुहुः समारोपितमङ्कमादरात् जिहासति दक्षरुषा मनस्विनी दधार गात्रेष्वनिलाग्निधारणाम् एवं स्वदेहं महता महीयसा मुहुः समारोपितमङ्कमादरात् जिहासति दक्षरुषा मनस्विनी दधार गात्रेष्वनिलाग्निधारणाम्. What word? Evam, thus, swadeham, her own body, mahatam, of the great saints, mahiyasa, most worshipful, muhuhu, again and again, Samaropitam, seated, Ankam, on the lap, Adarat, respectfully, Jihasati, wishing to give up, Daksharusha, due to anger towards Daksha, Manasvini, voluntarily, Dadhara, placed, Gatreshu, on the limbs of the body, Anila Agnidharanam, meditation on the fire and air. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada the Ki. Thus, in order to give up her body, which had been so respectfully and affectionately seated on the lap of Lord Shiva, who is worshipped by great sages and saints, Sati, due to anger towards her father, began to meditate on the fiery air within the body. Prabhupada's purport. Lord Shiva is described herein as the best of all great souls. Although Sati's body was born of Daksha, Lord Shiva used to adore her by sitting her on his lap. This is considered a great token of respect. Thus, Sati's body was not ordinary. But still she decided to give it up because it was the source of unhappiness because of its connection with Daksha. This severe example set by Sati is to be followed. One should be extremely careful about associating with persons who are not respectful to the higher authorities. It is instructed, therefore, in the Vedic literature that one should always be free from the association of atheists and non-devotees and should try to associate with devotees. For by the association of a devotee, one can be elevated to the platform of self-realization. This injunction is stressed in many places in Śrimad Bhāgavatam. If one wants to be liberated from the clutches of material existence, then one has to associate with great souls. And if one wants to continue one's material existence, one's existential life, then one may associate with persons who are materialistic. The materialistic way of life is based on sex life. Thus, both becoming addicted to sex life and associating with persons who are addicted to sex life are condemned in the Vedic literature because such association will simply interfere with one's spiritual progress. However, association with great personalities, devotees who are great souls, will elevate one to the spiritual platform. Sati Devi decided to quit the body she had obtained from Daksha's body, and she wanted to transfer herself to another body so that she might have completely uncontaminated association with Lord Shiva. Of course, it is understood that in her next life she would take birth as the daughter of the Himalayas, Parvati. And then she would again accept Lord Shiva as a husband. Sati and Lord Shiva are eternally related. Even after she changes her body, their relationship is never broken. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroh Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pacharine. Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate. Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदवनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. Reading the translation. Thus, in order to give up her body, which had been so respectfully and affectionately seated on the lap of Lord Shiva, who is worshipped by great sages and saints, Sati, due to anger towards her father, began to meditate on the fiery air within the body. So, before I begin, I'd like to seek the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas, especially His Grace Ram Rai Prabhu, so that something can be spoken in light of what Sri Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport. Sri Prabhupada is essentially mentioning about the importance of association. Of course, it cannot be stressed or emphasized enough how important the right association is for the development of our Krishna consciousness. Sri Prabhupada is a self-realized person. So Sri Prabhupada, when he traveled across the globe, or say when he came to the US in 1965, he came alone. And of course, Sri Prabhupada, when asked, he would say, I never missed the association of my spiritual master. I mean, such is the nature of the Mahatmas. Mahatmanas tamam partha daivim prakriti mashritaha. They are all conducted by the spiritual potency of the Supreme Lord. So they don't get affected. Sri Prabhupada came to the US first. He stayed in Butler, Pennsylvania, kept his food in the same refrigerator as where meat was kept, and so many things, but it did not affect Sri Prabhupada. He didn't change his way. So because he's a pure devotee, but for all of us, we need to understand the importance of association. However, how many ever years we might spend, we can never neglect the importance of association. And you will find even whom, let's say, whose association to be careful from is not just the non-devotees. Even in association of devotees, we don't associate with everyone, isn't it? Srila Prabhupada traveled across the globe and gave association, and that is called preaching. So when we go out to preach, we give association. Therefore, we take association of those who are senior by progress in devotional service. Now you find in the Shastras, something very interesting is mentioned, that even great devotees sometimes fall down due to poor association. You will have heard of Dvivida Gorilla. Is in Krishna book. He comes, who attacks Balram, who tries to tease the gopis of Balramji. And there is a past to Dvivida Gorilla also. Dvivida Gorilla is one of the most closest associates of Lord Ram in his war with Ravan. So in the Ramayana, Dvivida Gorilla is actually on the good side. The Dvivida Gorilla, Mahinda, They're all close associates of the one in the Vanar Sena. So there was Hanuman, Angada, and the next rung of soldiers were Mahinda and Dvivida and others. So Dvivida, you read in Krishna book, became corrupt. And you will see why. So you have Dvivida, who was a devotee but then became almost like a non-devotee. He attacked Balramji. And on the other hand, you have Narakasura. Narakasura is the son of, does anyone know? Narakasura or Dhomasura, son of Krishna and Rukmini. No, sorry, Satyabhama. Krishna and Satyabhama. And this Narakasura, as the name states, he became an asura, a demon. So Narakasura became a demon, though he's the son of the Lord, and Dvivida became a demon, though he's the devotee of Supreme Lord Ram. And now both of them associated together. So Dvivida became ruined in character because of his wrong association with Narakasura, and Narakasura became spoilt in character because of his wrong association with Banasura. So Srila Prabhupada mentions no one is born in this world with bad habits. So bad habits are attained by bad association. So therefore, importance of association is very much mentioned in the scriptures because of this fact. If a devotee, as like a Dvivida gorilla or the son of the Supreme Lord, if they can be corrupt, what to talk about us, isn't it? So therefore, in Nectar of Instruction, Sri Rupa Goswami is compiling the entire Krishna consciousness into 11 verses. So they're very important. For verse number 1 goes from the rules and regulations for us to follow, and verse 11 talks about a pure devotee, just in 11 verses. In that, you will find in verse number 2 and 3, Sri Rupa Goswami mentions for in the 6 things to be given up for a serious practitioner of Krishna consciousness, one of them is Janasangha. That means the association of worldly minded people. And similarly, the 6 things to be taken up by a serious practitioner, one of them is Sangatyaga. You have to take up detachment from worldly minded people. So the same thing is repeated twice in a text that is only 11 verses. There are so many things to talk about in Krishna consciousness. But Sri Rupa Goswami found it so important to mention the importance of giving up bad association. How much ever we might have the association of devotees, to the degree we maintain association of non-devotees. In association of non-devotees, I'm not saying devotees don't deal with the materialists. We might have to deal with the materialists, but to the degree we take the association, that means being influenced by the ideology, by their thought process, by what they think of this material world, by their philosophy. To that degree, our progress in Krishna consciousness is halted. So therefore, association is very, very important. And as Sri Prabhupada mentions here, see, Prabhupada says something very interesting. Prabhupada first mentions how Sati gave up her body. She was ready to burn that body which had connection with Daksha, who was an offender to Shiva, who is one of the greatest souls, like the Prabhupada says. And he says, this severe example set by Sati is to be followed. And how careful should one be of the association of materialistic people? Not a bit careful, not a little careful, not very careful, extremely careful. One should be extremely careful about associating with persons who are not respectful to the higher authorities. That means we have nothing to do with people who disregard the Vedic scriptures, who disregard Sri Prabhupada's purports. Some people say, there's so many, Prabhupada doesn't translate the Gita properly. Some people say Prabhupada adds Bhakti Yoga everywhere. Some people say, why does Sri Prabhupada say the women are not very intelligent? And Prabhupada doesn't know. So people who don't respect the higher authorities, we have nothing to do with them. That is Sangatyaga. We are ready to give up their association. So In this way, we have to grow in Krishna consciousness. Association plays a very strong role. And therefore, as Prabhupada mentioned, this injunction is stressed in many, many places in Śrimad Bhāgavatam. What is the injunction? You have two kinds of association. You associate with devotees, the doors of liberation are open. You associate with the non-devotees, the materialistic people, immediately the doors to hell are open. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in CC you will read, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to, he was being persuaded by the devotees to meet with King Prataparudra. At that time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't want to, as he didn't want to set the wrong example. So he didn't meet with King Prataparudra. And he says this famous verse, Nishkinchanasya Bhagavad Bhajaron Mukasya Param Param Jigamishur Bhavasagarasya. That means he's saying a Nishkinchan devotee, a person who wants to come to that platform of devotion which is completely unalloyed, Nishkinchanasya platform. And who wants to cross this ocean of material existence, for such a person to come in contact with a materialist who is to do with sex life or indulging in any kind of material enjoyment, it is a big, he says, ha hanta hanta. That means, alas, misfortune has befallen upon such a devotee. So therefore, we have to be very, very careful. And therefore, it is said, Mahaprabhura Bhakta Ganera Vairagya Pradhan. Actually, when I joined ISKCON, something that I liked was that people were renounced. Just imagine societies where sense gratification is also allowed nicely. People are indulging in all kinds of sensual affairs, and at the same time, they talk about liberation or higher subject matters. You cannot even comprehend. They don't go together at all. So therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has set such a strong standard. You have so many examples with respect to Chota Haridas, isn't it? You will find how Srivas Thakur is completely dependent upon the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Srivas Thakur is always in Sankirtan, and he asked him, what about your livelihood maintenance? Srivas Thakur said, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, what does that mean? Srivas Thakur said, my dear Lord, when I clap 3 times, and if I don't get what I want, that means whatever is required for the maintenance of my family, then I will tie myself to chains, iron chains, and drown myself in Ganga. Basically, he meant that, of course, later on, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, yes, Srivas Thakur, all glories to your great devotion and faith in the Supreme Lord. Even Lakshmi might become poverty stricken, but your home will never be poverty stricken, like I said. You see? So, therefore, what is so important in our practice of Krishna consciousness is to renounce those things or any relationship, whatever becomes an obstacle to one's spiritual progress. We are not blindly attached to detachment. We are not blindly attached to renunciation. I just like to be renounced. No. If anything isn't coming as an obstacle to our progress in Krishna consciousness, that has to be renounced. That is real renunciation. So when I was a student and practicing Krishna consciousness in India, so I generally didn't like to eat so much. So people thought Arjun is very renounced. But then I felt sick, but I was always attached to sweets. So then, even when I was sick, I went and had some sweets. So my senior came to me and said, if you're really renounced, you have to renounce that which is spoiling your health, isn't it? So though it's very easy to put up a show that I'm very renounced, you have real renunciation means be ready to give up those things which fall as obstacles in our progress to consciousness. That is real renunciation. So even you will find in the scriptures Kapila Muni saying Prasangam Majaram Pasham. And Prabhupada writes a very strong purport to that. Yeah, before we go to that, even in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I mean, at least CC has said, who is a Vaishnava? Asat Sangatyag a Vaishnavachar. And who are those Asat Sangha? He says, Stri Sangi Eka Sadhu, Krishna Abhakta are. That means those people who are too much attached to sex life, one has to give up the association. Or we can say even indulgence in material life. That means some devotees, they come there, they talk about material life so much. Even, you know, tilak wearing, kantimala wearing, shaven headed. But where is their heart? That is a real question. Sometimes the heart belongs to the material world or material aspects. They're glorifying too much of the material world. We have to keep the association to a distance. And this is spoken by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in, the three, Kapila Muni explains about three types of devotional service in Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. And he says for Kanishta Adhikaris, their association has to be minimized of Kanishta Adhikaris. Those people, those devotees who tend to become very violent or very proud devotees, always boasting. So such devotees one has to minimize the association. That purport Sri Prabhupada refers to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and he says that for the progress of our Krishna consciousness, we have to be very careful, even in a devotee association, whom do we associate with. That also discrimination is there. Yeah. So in third canto, Kapila Muni talks about this very famous verse. Prasangam ajaram pasham atmanah kavayo viduhu saeva sadhu shukrito mokshadvaram apavritam. It means every learned man knows very well that attachment for the material is the greatest entanglement of the spirit soul. But that same attachment, when applied to the self-realized devotees, it opens the door of liberation. And the purport Prabhupada mentions some salient points. Attachment cannot be killed, he says. It has to be simply transferred. So attachment for material things is called material consciousness, and attachment for Krishna or his devotee is called Krishna consciousness. Consciousness, therefore, is the platform of attachment. So, how Krishna conscious are we? What is it a factor of? Factor of our attachment. If we are maintaining too many material attachments, then it is we are actually our consciousness is material. We are not Krishna conscious. So therefore, when a disciple of Prabhupada went to Prabhupada and he said, Prabhupada, I'm generally Krishna conscious, but sometimes I get into Maya. What did Prabhupada say? Prabhupada corrected him. He said, generally you are in Maya, sometimes you're also Krishna conscious. Isn't it? Because we have so many material attachments. And here Prabhupada says, because attachment cannot be killed, our consciousness is a factor of our attachments. It is clearly stated here that when we simply purify the consciousness from material consciousness to Krishna consciousness, we attain liberation. A living entity by constitution has the propensity to be attached to something. We see that if someone has no object of attachment, he has no children, or if he has no children, then he transfers his attachment to cats and dogs. This indicates that the propensity for attachment cannot be stopped. It must be utilized for the best purpose. Our attachment to material things perpetuates our conditional state. But the same attachment, when transferred to the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotee, is the source of liberation. Then Prabhupada goes on to explain, so who is that devotee? So just now we quoted, Mahatmanastu Mam Partha Daivim Prakriti Mashataha. That devotee is one who is driven by the spiritual potency of the Supreme Lord, the internal energy by Radharani. So therefore, he is called a Mahatma. A sadhu is described in Bhagavad Gita as one who unflinchingly engages in devotional service. Yeah. And then Prabhupada quotes Rishabh Dev, Mahat Sevam Dwaramahur Vimuktis Tamodwaram Yoshitam Sangi Sangam. Rendering service to the materialist has the opposite effect. If anyone offers service to a gross materialist or a person engaged only in sense enjoyment, then by association with such a person, the door to hell is opened. And the same principle is confirmed here. Attachment to a devotee is attachment to the service of the Lord, because if one associates with the sadhu, the result will be that the sadhu will teach him how to become a devotee, how to worship the Lord, and how to serve the Lord. These are the gifts of a sadhu. So therefore, the other words, satam prasangan, mamavira samvido. What is the next one? Bhavanti hrit karna rasayana katha tad joshanad ashu apavarga vartmani. That means when we come together as devotees, first of all, Prabhupada said we need association. If we don't associate with devotees, we naturally associate with materialists. And sometimes when we become devotees, sometimes it's very easy to see the gross materialists. But the problem comes, we might associate with people who are materialistic, but whom we think is okay to associate with. Who are they? Sometimes our close relatives, our friends and family. So we have to be even careful about our attachment with them. For example, Mother Kunti is saying she is praying to Krishna when Krishna is leaving from Hastinapur back to Dwarka. Now Kunti is trying to persuade Krishna to stay back. So one of the verses, one of the prayers she says is, "My dear Lord, you are the Lord of the universe. So I request you, please cut off the Sneha Pasham, the ties of affection with the Pandavas and the Vrishnis." That means, see, Mother Kunti, after reciting the prayer, whom did she stay with? Pandavas. She continued to stay with the Pandavas. But what is her prayer? My dear Lord, cut off all ties of affection with the Pandavas and the Vrishnis. Pandava is the husband side, Prabhupada says, and Vrishnis is the father side. All her material attachment in this world was to do with Pandavas and the Vrishnis. And he's saying, she is praying that please cut off all ties of affection. Then how come she stayed with the Pandavas after, reciting this prayer? So she is praying, please cut off all the material aspect of the relationship. The only reason why I would stay with the Pandavas after this prayer would be because they're devotees, because they are devotees. Not that because they're related to me. So she is saying, Sneha Pashramevam Chinti Dhram Pandashu Vishnishu. Like that she says. So therefore you will find a devotee is ready to cut off even ties of affection with the close relatives if those relatives become an obstacle in further progress in devotional service. So why to associate with a sadhu and how to associate with a sadhu? Real association with the saintly person means to hear from the saintly person. Whenever Abhay Babu was brought up in front of Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he would remark, "Oh Abhay," especially when his name went for initiation. That time, Saraswati Thakur remarked, "Abhay, I know him well. He likes to hear." So, the real association of a sadhu is to hear from the sadhu. And what is the purpose of sadhus? The sadhus in traditional times, you would see they would go home to home, and it is mentioned in the first canto. They would not spend they would not spend much time, and even Madhukari, they would beg alms from the grihasthas. That was just some sort of an excuse. In the name of getting something from the grihasthas, they would actually give their association to the grihasthas. Lavamatra sadhu sangha sarvasiddhi hoy. Just because a moment association of a sadhu, one can be uplifted. So therefore, the sadhus would travel. And sadhus would tell the people in general how to worship Krishna. Whom to worship? Krishna is to be worshipped. How to worship Krishna? How do you become a devotee of Krishna? How do you practice devotional service? This is what the sadhu is preaching. not just by words, by his example. And therefore, he becomes Acharya, sadhu. So, therefore, when we talk about associating with sadhus, we are talking about associating with people whom we can grow in devotional service with. So, therefore, they are called as Mahat, the great souls, the Mahat Sevam. So, Prabhupada says, so these are the gifts of a sadhu. That means when you associate with sadhu, initially we have long hair. Initially we have leather jacket, rugged jeans pant. How a materialistic person lives. But as you associate with sadhu, your externals change, your internals change. External, what happens? A tilak comes on the forehead, isn't it? Then your hair either becomes very short or shaven headed, and you will start living shikha. Then there's a kantimala. Then you wear dhoti kurta. The Vaishnava attire comes. Then that is external change. For internal change, your heart goes towards Krishna. And more importantly, going towards Krishna, it first goes to the sadhu. And that is important association. Because when we associate with the sadhu and hear from him, we become attached to that devotee. So you know that story of the worshipper of Shiva? And that Shiva told him, because he saw this Shiva devotee is a sincere devotee. So he told him, if you really want something valuable, go to Sanatana Goswami in Vrindavan. And this devotee went to Sanatana Goswami and said, Lord Shiva told me that you have a parasmani, a touchstone. Touchstone is something that you touch something with that touchstone, it also turns to gold. So Sanatana Goswami told him, yes, I do have. It must be lying in the trash somewhere there. You can take a look. And the sadhu, this person went, devotee of Shiva. He looked for the parasmani. But while looking for the parasmani, and even after he got the parasmani, he was thinking in his mind, so how gentle was Sanatana Goswami? What was his small gestures? How kindly he spoke to me. So he was always contemplating on Sanatana Goswami. And therefore, he got attached to Sanatana Goswami. And then he realized, if Sanatana Goswami has kept the parasmani in trash, that means he must have something more valuable. So therefore, he again went to Sanatana Goswami. And he asked him, if you have kept parasmani in trash, that means you have something more valuable. So what is that? And Sanatana Goswami said, for that you have to throw your parasmani in Ganges, in Yamuna. And to throw something so valuable, what you're attached to, just because a sadhu says it, cannot be done unless you have attachment to sadhu. So when Sanatana Goswami told this man, throw away your parasmani, he even did it. Till then, Sanatana Goswami didn't even show him, what is that much more higher valuable item. So later on, after throwing and going back to Sanatana Goswami said, the much more valuable item is this holy name. And because it came from Sanatana Goswami, this devotee, he became a Vaishnava. He could accept the holy name. Not just accept the holy name, he accepted the holy name as a much more valuable jewel than that jewel of Parasmani. And the crux of this, the essence of this story is that association of Sanatana Goswami. Isn't it? So you see the importance of association. Therefore, it is a Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha. Because in that momentary association, if you can get attached to a sadhu, doors to liberation are open. And of course, we don't care if they're open or not. We become more worried about how to serve Krishna. And this is the fruit or the benefit of associating with sadhu. But when we have sadhu association and we don't take proper benefit of that, spiritual benefit, rather we take material benefit of the association of devotees. That means sometimes just to get, say in Sunday feast there's a long line. So you cannot wait so much. So what if a person, he puts up tilak and he puts up kantimala and he says, I'm going ahead to serve prasadam. So then he goes all the way ahead, takes a plate and takes prasadam. You see? That means it is easy. Sometimes people think, okay, let me dress as a sadhu, let me be amongst the sadhus, to take material benefit of the sadhus. And that is called as being very unfortunate, most unfortunate. What is most unfortunate? Taking material benefit of a sadhu. Can someone say why is that called most unfortunate? Why is that such a big misfortune to take material benefit of the sadhus? Yes, you can get the best thing. You can get the best thing, but one is taking something which is very, the sadhus spit at material benefits. That's what we are getting. It's just like a king on his birthday is going across the kingdom and is saying, I can give you whatever you want. Today is my birthday. You can ask. And the first person he meets, he says, okay, my dear king, I have desire. What is that? Please give me the golden button of your coat. He says, what? That's all? He takes out the golden button and throws at the person. Then he goes to the next person. He says, yes, I want a gold chain. He said, that's it? Gold chain? Okay, take it. But if a king comes to us, what do we ask for? What would be the best thing to ask from the king on his birthday? Entire kingdom. Okay. Maybe he'll give you 50% of the kingdom. Okay. Anything else? But we might not be in a position to wage a war. We are not trained in maintaining a kingdom. What else can we ask from the king? On his birthday, he's ready to give you anything. His friendship, yes. You can say, my dear king, I just want to be a friend. So king will say, wonderful. You want to be my friend? Okay, why don't you climb my chariot? Because when anyone is my friend, they have to live according to my standards. Immediately he'll make you a minister. He'll take you to his court. He will also make you sit beside him. And then naturally you'll get the kingdom. Isn't it? But we seek friendship of the king. Similarly, we seek friendship of the Lord. Naturally, everything follows. Liberation also follows. But a devotee is not very much behind it. So therefore, the most unfortunate people are those who come to the association of devotees and we go away with something material. Very unfortunate. And this is being spoken by Devavati in 3rd canto. She says, I got such a pure devotee, Kardama, as my husband, but I took material benefit. That I only asked for a palatial city, flying city, and only some kids. And she realized such a foolish mistake that I have committed only when he was about to leave. And then she says, Vanchita Maya Adridam. I have been solidly cheated by Maya. And this is a solid cheating of Maya, that we come to association of devotees, but take material benefit. Isn't it? Why? Because association of devotees can give us Tad Joshanad Ashu Apavarga Vartmani. Ashu means very quick, very soon, just now. That is Ashu. Ashu Apavarga Vartmani. Liberation, which was supposed to be after millions of lifetimes, will become just now. Just now, you'll become self-realized. And what is the last one? Shraddha Bhaktir Anukramishiti. Yeah. Yeah, Shraddha Bhaktir Ratir Anukramishiti. When we come together in the association of devotees, instead of taking material benefit, if we take spiritual benefit and hear the instructions of a sadhu, what do we get? First of all, devotion to the Supreme Lord. Then faith in the process increases in the association of sadhu. And then rati, attraction for the Lord, develops. If these things are not happening, even though being in association of devotees, that means we are physically in there, but heart is elsewhere. Therefore, it's not happening. So therefore, we have to become very fanatic about association. If there is a devotee who is daily chanting 32 rounds and is always talking about the glories of the holy name, if you are there with him, you cannot just chant 16 rounds. You will end up chanting few more rounds, isn't it? If someone is very crazy about Harinam Sankirtan, you cannot, not be, affected by that madness. You will also go for Harinam Sankirtan. For example, when I was in Boston, over there were no brahmacharis back then when I was there. So in Boston, all I would do is hear Ahindra Prabhu's Kirtan and some of his clips, lecture clips or something. And Ahindra Prabhu was speaking so much on Harinam Sankirtan. So daily I would go for 2-3 hours Harinam alone. alone Harinam Sankirtan, because there's a Sankirtan, but but I would go daily for Harinam because I never would so much trust on Harinam Sankirtan. I felt if I didn't do it, there's something wrong with me. So then it became a daily affair. I would put a board of Hare Krishna Mahamantra on the back, and go with the harmonium. I didn't even know much harmonium, whatever played, you know, and just go in the Boston City at least for 2-3 hours. So you see the madness, how it goes from, how it contagious it is. So therefore, association. Say we are all doing japa together. We are sitting in temple hall and doing japa. We feel today is like the worst japa day. I just want to go and sleep. But then you look at your devotee friend. He is chanting japa like a train, as if he's just drinking in the holy name. Then you feel, okay, let me also try harder. And then he sees that you are trying your best, though you are feeling sleepy or struggling. So he feels that, okay, I also want to struggle. So like this, there is synergy created in the association of devotees. But if everyone chants in their own room, God knows if they're chanting or sleeping, isn't it? So therefore, the progress is not much. And that comes for anything, whether hearing the holy name, hearing the holy fame, that means Bhagavatam, hearing Śrimad Bhagavatam, or doing Krishna Seva. When we do it together, we are increasing our own progress in devotional service. Because we are not benefiting from our own practice, we are benefiting from everyone's practice, whoever is there, isn't it? And this is the benefit of association. And for this to be done, one has to be ready to let go of materialistic association. Because materialistic association is like pouring water on wood. You can never light that wood. A wet wood only creates smoke, and smoke only troubles. So therefore, one has to be detached from materialistic association. That means even friends, relatives, whoever it is, sadhus are ready to let go of if they're not in line with Krishna consciousness. So finally, in the purport, Sri Prabhupada says, see, when we come, one main problem when we come to associate with devotees is that the devotees, sometimes we find faults, there's criticism. So Prabhupada gives a hint to overcome that. And with that, I'll conclude. In the beginning of the purport, Prabhupada says that you see, Sati her body is very respectable. It's not an ordinary body, Prabhupada says. Why? Yes, because Lord Shiva, who is considered the greatest of Vaishnava, he respected that body by seating that body on his lap. So therefore, her body is not ordinary. Similarly, when we come across, we talk about importance of association, but generally the main obstacle in associating with other devotees is we find there's some criticism, we find some friction between devotees, which one may not like and one may want to maintain distance. So Prabhupada gives a hint. Let's understand how valuable a devotee is. How can we understand how valuable a devotee is? You look at not that devotee, but look at that devotee's relationship with Krishna. Don't look at your relationship with the devotee. If I see my relationship with a particular devotee, probably we didn't have the best of relationship. But if you see how nicely that devotee is serving his spiritual master, or that devotee is serving Krishna, that means he is very valuable because he is very dear to Krishna and his Guru. If you focus on that, then immediately all Vaishnavas are very valuable. Whoever is very sincere, we cannot offend just because there was some friction with me, isn't it? And therefore, to conclude with, in 10th canto of Śrimad Bhāgavatam, when the Nagapatnis, they're saying, how is that our husband Kaliya, who is so sinful, he got your mercy, the footprint of the lotus feet of Krishna on his head. Do you know why? How did Krishna bestow his mercy of placing his lotus feet on Kaliya's head? On Kaliya, who is so sinful. Does anyone know? Yeah, when he was dancing. Question is, Kaliya is very sinful, but how did he get the mercy of Krishna because Krishna places lotus feet on his head. Yes, Haribo. It's because Nagapatnis are pure devotees. And Krishna tells, I'm bestowing my mercy on Kalya because he is dear to you. He's connected to you. Therefore, when we come in association of Vaishnavas and we have very nice dealings, we become dear to other Vaishnavas. Then we can, when Prabhupada says, that is the way we become very dear to Krishna. Not direct Krishna, not possible. Through the devotees. When we go through the devotees, then we become very dear to Krishna. So I will pause there. If anyone has anything, yes, Mike.
Association of devotees is made very clear and focused based on that we're uniting together to serve the mission of the predecessor acharyas. We were celebrating Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada's Tirubhav yesterday, and in the course of the glorification, verse number 2 of Sad Goswami Astakam came up. They are worth taking shelter of because they are engaged in missionary activities for the benefit of all living beings. So Srila Prabhupada, he came here representing the mission of his spiritual master, of the whole parampara, of Lord Chaitanya, most authorized personality, and he created devotees to, or you could even say different ways of looking at it. He brought out those devotees who were planted, just like somebody comes, like on a special mission, and he's told ahead of time that you go there, and then different secret operative personalities, secret agents have been planted, and they will recognize you, and they will come out, and you can fight the enemy. So Prabhupada said that you've been sent here by the order of the Lord to take your birth in these countries when I would come, and that we would all join and unite together. And it's the realization of devotees who came forward and Prabhupada chose or authorized to be his leaders, that the quality was to be enthusiastic for that service. And that enthusiasm, of course, is properly manifested by hearing, just like Srila Prabhupada. Because I was good at hearing, now I'm good at speaking. So Prabhupada noticed that those who are adherent and completely submissive to his instruction and became greatly enthusiastic to spread the movement, then they could have very, very close and frequent association with Srila Prabhupada. Was others who, for whatever reason, weren't able to do that, were kind of kept at a distance. So anyway, the point is that our association is focused and enhanced and made perfect by understanding that we're all associating together to serve the mission of our predecessors.
Right.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the class, Prabhu. I know we have a little time left, but I thought I'd just ask a quick question. Something you were saying in the beginning of the class about when you are associating with people and they profess, something that disagrees with our perspective. Like you mentioned the example of someone doesn't want to accept Srila Prabhupada's translation of Gita, they speak against Prabhupada's statements on women, and so then we should reject that association. And I was just thinking that in preaching or in our endeavor to preach, a lot of time we are associating with people that we're trying to help along a little in Krishna consciousness, and they'll often profess those kind of ideas. But if we rejected their association, perhaps we would miss out on the opportunity to actually take them along. So the question is more like, if we reject people's association on the basis of having disagreeing beliefs, then doesn't that reflect a lack of faith in ourselves? I think that's my question.
Yeah, so we don't associate with them, we give association. Just like when Sri Prabhupada would travel and he would address so many scientists, reporters, materialistic people, atheists, whatever, whoever it may be, they would only ask one question when Prabhupada speaks a paragraph. You've seen that? Then they ask one more question, Prabhupada speaks two paragraphs. When if any reporter is, Prabhupada would never allow anyone to speak much. Prabhupada would give association. So I don't say, I already mentioned it, that when we go out to preach, we are actually giving association. Prabhupada didn't associate with the scientists.
There's techniques, just when they speak something, even they might, with great vociferousness and enthusiasm, proclaim and champion whatever nonsensical thing, we can just minimize, just like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, I'm going to instruct you, Lord Chaitanya, you're a young sannyasi, so I will, help solidify your sannyas and present to you Vedanta philosophy. Lord Chaitanya just sat there hearing all this nonsense for, what was it, 7 days, 8 days? Long time. And then it's almost like you let people speak, okay, get it all out, work it out. Are you done? Actually, Prabhupada did that. Do you have anything else to say? Some crazy person, like in Australia or somewhere. Anything else? Are you done? Yes, I'm done. And so we don't take very seriously what they're saying, but we charm them and give them a type of friendship and personal human contact that they never experienced before. And then slowly but surely, but if, if somebody's like an extreme, like I pointed out to new people coming to the Harinam, like there's standard kind of like Union Square Mayaprita or Washington Square Mayaprita, that don't talk to this guy is just like a broken record, it's a waste of time. But, let that he can come there and stare at the Harinam and hear the holy name. And maybe after 10, 12, 20, 100, and however many years, he might become purified. So you have to, it's different frequencies, different levels. You have to like become experienced and adept to judge according to time, place, and circumstance. But the main thing is to not let it, don't let it permeate your heart. Oh, really? The guy's got a point there, Maybe I should rethink that. Maybe I got it wrong. Maybe he's got it.
So we'll pause it. Thank you. Śrimad Bhāgavatam ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Sai Gau Sriman.